Hello guys, welcome back to your training. Now in this part of the training, we're going to be talking about LCDs versus OLED technology and the differences and the similarities. Now what I have in my left hand here is an example of a iPhone 6s Plus, and it uses what we call LCD technology. And in my right hand here, what we have is an example of a Galaxy S6, and it uses what they call OLED technology, or organic light emitting diode technology. There is a difference in how this is made and how this is assembled, which is going to cause a little bit of a difference in your defects and how you guys identify defects and what defects are actually caused by LCD technology versus the defects that are caused by OLED technology. It's very important to understand the differentiation, again, which is why we start with how these devices actually work. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in the next part of this video is we're going to transition into what we call our practical learning or our practical training, where we actually bring you guys up close and we break these things apart so you guys can see the different components that actually make these two different type of technologies go. And then what we're going to do when we get into our defect identification part, you guys are going to understand more clearly why those defects happen based on the technology that is actually being used, specifically around the difference between LCD and OLED technology. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and transition into our practical learning so we can show you guys this material up close, break it down so you can get a better understanding of how this technology, OLED versus LCD, actually works. All right. See you guys in the next part of this training. Hello guys, welcome to your practical presentation part of the training. So what we're going to be talking about in this particular part of the training is the difference between OLED technology and LCD technology. Now, if you look at our presentation here, what we basically have at the top is, you may have already noticed, is Samsung devices. At the bottom right here, we have Apple devices, okay? Samsung uses what is known as OLED technology, where Apple, today, Apple is still using LCD technology. They will be eventually moving into OLED from what I understand, but right now they still use LCD technology. Now the difference between OLED and LCD is one particular thing, and that is the way it illuminates. Okay, with LCDs, the illumination happens with something called a backlight, which is seen right here. This is an example of a backlight. I'm going to be showing you guys that up close. But the first thing I want to do is I want to start with just showing you guys a full assembly of the LCD technology. This is an Apple iPhone 7, right? This is what we refer to as a pull. When you pull a device, you're pulling the device off of a unit, off of a housing. And so this is what we call a full assembly minus the home button. Okay, but this is a full assembly, so everything is intact. You have the back plate, you have what we call the backlight, you have the core, right, which we also refer to as the LCD, and then you have the glass. It's basically 4 layers: backlight, backplate, backlight, core, and glass. Okay, that's what you have in a full assembly. Now what we're going to show you here is just the backlight, the standalone backlight. And this backlight has a couple of different functionalities, but the one we're really concerned with in this particular part of the training is the illumination functionality, right? When you plug it in, the light comes on, and this light is a backlight, what we refer to as a BLU, backlight unit. And that backlight unit illuminates so you can see the display on the LCD when it illuminates. Okay, without this, you're not going to be able to easily see that display. You can still see it, but it's not going to be in a user way, right? And that's what you want, obviously, is you want to be able to see it. So that's what this backlight is for. Now, again, this backlight has multiple uses, but for what we're talking about, for all intents and purposes, this is so that you can see the display on the LCD technology. Now, this is actually the LCD, right? And this is the LCD with the glass. So again, we said it had 4 layers. This is one layer, which is the core. We refer to this as the core also. You guys can see this is just a display, right? And this is the core with the glass. And then this would be the core, glass, and backlight, right? And then we would also add a back plate for the 4 layers, all right? So that's basically your LCD technology. Again, the biggest difference you're going to see is the LCD technology uses a backlight that is separate from the actual display itself. Now, the difference with the OLED is that backlight technology is built in, right? They call it the OLED, which is the organic light emitting diode, right? So if we take a look at this, right, this is what a full assembly for a OLED on a S6 looks like, right? Actually, it doesn't quite look like this. It still has the plastic what we call mid-frame on it. So if we were to remove that mid-frame, a full assembly would actually look much like this, right? And what you guys see is glass and display. No backlight. That's the biggest difference. There is no backlight. The lighting is built in. So the difference with this is if you break it, the lighting is gone. Okay? So very easy to break. So you got to be very careful with OLED technology, but that's the biggest difference. One thing I want to show you guys, this is what it looks like when there is no glass and it's just the display, right? And again, it looks a lot like the LCD technology. If you put them side by side, they look almost exactly alike. As a matter of fact, if you didn't know, you probably couldn't tell which one had the LCD technology and which one had the OLED technology, right? When you remove everything but the core. So this would be the core for the LCD and the OLED, all right? So we'll go ahead and put that back. Now, what you guys got to be very careful with is when you pull these, right? It's one thing I want to show you guys is here. See how this is broken? I'll get very close so you guys can see. You see how this is broken? This disqualifies this material for refurb, right? So anytime you have a core issue, if there's any problem with the core, you're going to disqualify it for the refurb process, right? There is nothing that a refurb and an LCD, there's nothing that refurb can do if the core of the LCD is damaged, all right? So that's important to understand. But really, that is the biggest difference between the LCD technology and the OLED technology is primarily the backlight, okay? The LCD technology has a backlight that is separate from the display. The OLED technology does not, okay? If you guys have any questions on that, please let me know. And what we're going to be talking about in the next video is specifically the functionality of the backlight. I want you guys to really understand this functionality because there are other defects that can be caused by a damaged backlight, okay? And we're going to be talking about those a little bit later on when we get into the defects portion. But I do want you guys to understand the backlight specifically right now and the functionality so that when we do talk about those defects, you guys will understand exactly what's causing those defects, all right? If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, I'll see you guys in the next training where we're going to talk more about backlight functionality.